tell a story.
Throughout our lives, we continually shape and train our bodies through our movements. More about that in a moment. First, I need to tell you about my current quest to stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord. Elden Ring is an epic role-playing game featuring a mythological backstory from the imagination of George R.R. Martin, the storyteller who brought us Game of Thrones. In the game, the once great realm known as the Lands Between has been thrown into chaos and violence when the Elden Ring, the realm's source of power and order, was shattered. When Queen Marika's demigod offspring vied for the ring's shards, the Lands Between were consumed by violence, madness, and decay. Enter the player as one of the Tarnished, an exile summoned to bring the demigods to their knees, uncover forgotten lore, and strive to become Elden Lord, either to restore balance or to reinvent the world in their own image. Confession: I have now been playing the game on and off for 3 years without having completed it. Each attempt has been more successful than the last, and I have really enjoyed each one. This is such a gorgeous and immersive game. But my learning curve kept hitting a ceiling. To my chagrin, I have a friend who basically eats Dark Souls bosses for breakfast. I've watched them play Elden Ring and its predecessors for years without being able to fathom how they know exactly when to dodge, when to strike, and what weapon and armor to equip. In role-playing video games, you move your character by mashing buttons and moving sticks on a controller in specific sequences. Your inputs translate into actions like attacking and dodging. Whether you are successful depends on precise timing and execution of these sequences, especially during intense battles. It's an intricate digital dance. One poorly timed input and you get the "you died" screen again. Previously, my MO was to level up my avatar to be as powerful as possible while accumulating the deadliest weapons and ammo I could find. My motivation was to basically just get as far as I can without dying again. However, the game's enemies get progressively bigger and stronger. It's impossible by design to keep up with them. Enter Arya Stark of Winterfell. I recently marathoned Game of Thrones. At its conclusion, Arya, diminutive master of stealth, ruthless wielder of rapiers and daggers, is sailing west into uncharted territory. And it hit me! She's being summoned to the Lands Between! Role-playing Elden Ring as Arya has put an end to my endless hacking, slashing, retreating, and frequent dying. Because unlike my former unwieldy avatars, Arya consistently moves with purpose. She knows her assets and her limitations. She has clear preferences where her strategies and weapons are concerned. She is not here to kneel to decrepit demigods or chase glory. She is here to forge a path through the madness and rot, to cut down would-be tyrants and decide who deserves to rule what is left. She helped me take down the first big boss with just her needle and her direwolves. Last week, I discussed the importance of both conditioning and coordination for vocal training. I thought it might be both fun and clarifying to talk about how I'm conditioning and coordinating my Elden Ring avatar. The conditioning part is how you level up. In other words, which of your avatar's attributes you decide to buff. You can build them up to be a total tank that wields colossal weapons, for example. But it's stealth, speed, and dexterity that defines Arya's battle skills. The way you condition your avatar is similar to the way you would condition your body or your voice, gradually and incrementally. The coordination part involves learning and practicing the precise sequences of button mashing and stick pushing that will result in the attacks and the dodges. The real-time practical application of your coordination involves carefully studying your opponent's moves in order to accurately time those sequences of button mashing and stick moving to be able to stick them with the pointy end and then get the hell out of the way before they crush you. The reason that I'm now the one doing the crushing and they're the ones doing the dying, mostly, is that my conditioning is now strategic and I'm taking the time to develop my coordination. The main difference is that I'm patiently assessing my opponent's moves, which are digital and thus predictable, rather than just running away when the enormous scary thing comes charging right at me. It may seem as though the fine motor control required for all the button mashing and stick pushing has little relevance for the complex coordination required for singing in meat space. But hear me out. Have you ever tried to get a high note to come out better by throwing your voice at it over and over again and crossing your fingers? What about singing a long, slow phrase on one breath, even when it necessitates squeezing all of the breath out of your body and then gasping when it's over? Or attempting riffs or coloratura that require swifter execution than you can currently manage? High notes stamina, and vocal flexibility are all good examples of skills requiring precise coordination and timing of physical movements. If it's your MO to just go for it again and again, your coordination might improve. After all, my Elden Ring skills did. But if you invest the time and patience to really understand the coordination that you're trying to develop, practice the required movements and movement combinations, and time your phrasing to align with the overall flow of the music, that is what will enable you to nail it with panache. Throughout our lives, we continually shape and train our bodies through our movements. While our anatomy develops in accordance with our DNA, our code, and can be influenced by illness or injury, our bodies are essentially the result of the way that we have built them through every movement, exertion, and nutrition decision that we make. And we can change them simply by making different decisions regarding movement, exertion, and nutrition. I'm not here to advise you how to change your nutrition and exercise habits. I just want to point out that the way I am right now is the cumulative result of everything I have done, experienced, and consumed. I am pretty sure that the same is true for you. If we want to change how we are in the service of developing the coordination that we desire, we will need to make different decisions regarding movement, exertion, and nutrition with intention, precision, and consistency. When you want to learn or improve a particular type of coordination, it's important to remember that you're not bringing a blank slate to the process. You bring with you the body that you have already built and the coordination that you have already developed and habituated. At least some of the coordination that you have already habituated is likely to be at cross purposes with the coordination that you now wish to develop. Where skill at singing is concerned, the habituated coordination that you are probably going to have to deconstruct includes articulation and resonance. The way our speech habits condition our articulators and resonators usually does not result in consistent resonance in clear diction for singing. Good coordination for singing requires decoupling habituated jaw, tongue, and lip movements so that we can learn to move these structures independently from one another and coordinate them together more intentionally. Vocal registration. The reason so many singers think they have a break or even a hole in the middle of their range is because of the way our speaking voices tend to develop. Many, if not most of us, learn to speak in a fairly low, narrow range with comparatively heavy registration. The higher we try to sing, the more unsustainable it becomes to use the heavy registration we developed for our speaking voices. Developing skill at registration means learning to adjust the weight of our vocal production in order to sing higher, lower, louder, and softer with continuity and consistency. This is harder to do if you begin with a concept that you have some sort of built-in break or hole in your voice. You don't. You just have some habituated coordination that you need to deconstruct and then retrain. Breathing. The way you breathe in daily life, during a cardio workout, swimming, or doing yoga is different from the breath coordination you need to develop to support your singing. You need to learn to take a well-coordinated inhalation that is precisely timed and precisely full enough to execute each phrase you sing, and the coordination will differ for each phrase and each context in which you sing it. My point is that if you've ever tried to get a high note to come out better by throwing your voice at it over and over again, or tried and failed to perform a long, slow phrase on one breath, or tried singing a riff over and over again while wondering why isn't it coming out fast enough or clear enough, you're basically practicing your singing the way that I used to play Elden Ring. Your coordination might get better over time, and you might still really enjoy singing. But if you work more strategically on your coordination, by deconstructing habituated movements and then coordinating them more intentionally, you will get better faster. And you will not only enjoy your singing more, you may end up finding out that you even really enjoy practicing. The process will provide you with an ongoing positive feedback loop. Your frustration will be greatly diminished, and the vocal equivalent of the "you died" scream will become a distant memory. Next week, I'll share my strategy for breaking down singing coordination into trainable components. Meanwhile, if you're playing Elden Ring and you come across a summon sign for a player called No One who looks suspiciously like Arya Stark of Winterfell, hit me up. I'll help you make short work of that enormous, scary thing.